Hey, good morning everybody. What I'm going to do today is talk about this right here, my barrel wood stove. I went back to January and looked at the video I did back then to see what I had said about it and see how I was using it, and I learned a whole lot since then. Made some improvements and things worked a whole lot better. Matter of fact, the coldest night I had was I think 10 degrees early one morning. And on that morning, I looked at my thermometer inside. It was 10 degrees outside. It was still 58 degrees inside this greenhouse. So this barrel wood stove right here works. It works very good. What I'm going to do right now is just hose down a little bit in here, try to settle the dust some. I'm going to clean up a little bit, get everything out of the way, and then I'm going to show you what I did to make this thing really go. Alright, so here we are. All cleaned up around here, got all the blocks and my little cement board out of the way. That was I used as a heat shield. And this is what I call the little engine that could. This is the thing that made this greenhouse go right here. Doesn't look like much to a lot of folks, but this is the deal. As you can see, it's just two barrels stacked up on top of each other, nothing fancy. You buy the hardware, the brackets right here, these little collars, and you got to make your little adapter to go in between them. And it comes with the feet, and you get this collar up here that's got your damper thing inside of it. So basically, you're going to heat the bottom. All of your heat goes from the bottom stove or bottom barrel up into the top one. This is basically just a dissipation chamber. When this thing was nice and warm, this is the new thermostat thermometer that I ended up using. The other one that I had, it just pretty much warped, twisted all the pieces. It just got so hot. I think in the first video I said I'd seen it up like 700-800, something like that. I could peg this thing easy, no problem. But so you're going to take all the heat out of the first barrel, dissipate it into the second one. So if you start out with 800-900 degrees in the bottom barrel, goes out the top one, and by the time it goes up the stack, it's 250-300, something like that. And that's a lot of heat that's being dissipated inside the greenhouse as opposed to being sent straight up the stack. Alright, and I had talked about the reason that I did the barrels with the removable lids was because I wanted to be able to get inside, and also made it a whole lot easier to go and try to put these darn things together. When you can take the whole end of the barrel off and get inside to put all your screws and nuts and stuff on, that just made it so much easier. But you take this top off, and you can see you get a little creosote built up in there. Not too bad. And what I do is I run my little brush thing from the outside and push all the creosote down through this pipe right here, and I put a container and it collects it all, and I just dump it all outside. Inside here, there's my rope gasket, which done a really good job preventing the smoke from here coming out inside the building. Same thing on the bottom. You can take this band off and get inside here to put your stove together. Makes it real easy. I had talked about leaving the coals inside the stove to try to start the fire. And one of the things that I found is you need to put a grate in there. This is the grate right here that I bought. Bought it online. Northern Tool. That's where I got the stove kit from. But it didn't last me very long, like 60 days. It didn't even make it 60 days. I don't understand. I guess about everything you get metal these days comes from China and is recycled crap and it just doesn't last. But I got to figure out a way to put a grate in there. But when I had this grate inside, it just made the fire burn so much more efficiently, so much hotter. So I would say put a grate in the bottom of it and go that route. One thing I would recommend not using is that galvanized pipe right there. Go ahead and get the regular black stove pipe. I used the galvanized because I could get it in longer lengths and it would be easy to work with. but I found out that the condensation from the stack outside and any rain that got in there, it's so thin, it just ate right through it on the outside. And what I ended up having to do is just slip another scrap piece of it real quick to make a collar and make it through this season. But don't mess with that cheap galvanized stuff. Go ahead and spend a little extra money, get the good black stove pipe, and it'll last you a whole lot longer. The other thing that really made this stove go was having this 2-inch intake at the bottom that is run to the outside of the greenhouse. When you've got a stove, a fireplace, or something that has an open stack, all the air that goes out the chimney has to come out of the building somewhere. It's kind of like a balloon. Once you blow it up, you let all the air out, you can't get any more air to come out of it. So it's got to be able to suck air in from somewhere else. So basically what it would do is pull air in from all the little cracks and everywhere that I hadn't sealed up. It was just sucking in cold air. But when I put this on here, that solved most of the problem. Now this still isn't fully sealed up around this door on here. I'll need to put a gasket on there, some type of sealant. And the same thing, I never put a gasket, a rope gasket inside the end door here. But to make this intake work, I ended up, my buddy didn't make me a little box like I was hoping to, so I made one myself, but I'll show that to you. Alright, this is on the outside now. This is my 2-inch line that's running from the stove underground coming to the outside. Just 2-inch, there's some conduit and just regular 2-inch water line, and I think that's a little sewer line connection right there. And it doesn't matter, it's not even glued together. And when I wanted to cut the airflow off from the outside to make the fire burn really slow, like when it's fairly warm outside, like in the 20s and 30s, I don't need as much heat, so I can shut this valve off right here. And what I did, I just built a little box out of 1x6 poplar, real easy to work with. I'm not a metal fabricator, so I'm not very good with metal, but I can cut a couple of pieces of wood and screw them together. And I'll show you what the inside of that looks like. Alright, I took the screws off my box so I could get on the inside of it real easy. And basically, all it is a 4-inch axial fan that I've got sitting inside of it. And I took the end of a dryer vent and cut it down and reversed it, flipped it inside out. And what I had to do, because the heat going up the stack was just so strong on this little lightweight flapper, what I did is come on the inside and I put a screw and a couple nuts on it to hold it down to make sure that it really didn't move until that fan came on. Otherwise, just the draft itself would suck this open and start pulling air. And that's part of the reason why I also put that shutoff valve on there, so I could shut this air off completely when I wanted to and make that fire burn really slow. But this has worked out pretty good. It's just my simple way of doing it. I guess kind of one of them do-it-yourself jobs. I'm pretty sure there are some more effective ways to go about doing this with people who are more knowledgeable than I am, but this is how I did it. And it worked pretty good. And what I did, I just ran, for right now to make it real quick, I just run a plug from my outlet here, run it down to this little control. I bought this online. It's thermostatically controlled. I can change it from, I think it's adjustable from like 3 to 10, 11 degrees working range. So if I wanted to stop it like 65 or so, you know, when it got to 62 it would come on, or whichever way you want to do it. But my goal was to get this wired up to the fan and get it working like a regular wood stove. The only way to make that truly effective is to be able to close off the end of the barrel, make it airtight so that all the air came from the outside and you regulated it that way. I never got the end of the barrel completely closed up, so basically what this was just a way to turn the fan on and off outside. And the last month or so it's been kind of warm and I didn't need much heat, so what I would do, I just put this timer on here when I want to start the fire, and it's in 15-minute increments, and say I wanted 30 minutes of the fan running, I just move it over till it ran about 30 minutes when I first started the fire. That would turn the fan on, I get a fire going real good, and after 30 minutes it would click, shut the fan off, and I would come out here and close down everything and let that fire burn really, really slow, and it would hold the temperature for several hours overnight while I was in bed asleep, and I didn't have to worry about coming back out here. So that's how I use the stove. It is extremely, extremely effective. The one thing that you will notice from standing right here is just the amount of space that I actually lost by having the stove inside the greenhouse. I'm not going to complain about that, because without that stove there wouldn't have been a greenhouse. There's no way in the world I could have afforded to put a gas heater in here and buy propane or electric or whatever. But what I want to do next year is I'm going to try to explain this to you. May have to draw a picture so makes sense. But what I want to do is offset these barrels. I want to take the top barrel and flip it around so that it extends out the end of this one right here. And what I want to do is redo this so that I can take this bottom barrel and have it extend about say this far out the end of the greenhouse, build a roof over the end from the outside, and make a room to put my wood in. And that way also, so when I come outside to load the stove, I won't actually have to come inside the greenhouse. So when I open this door, I don't have to worry about smoke getting in here, because back in December when I had all the green wood, that was a problem. The tomatoes didn't like it. I found that out, but I was able to correct that. So we're going to try that for next year. Hopefully I got plans for a bigger greenhouse to add on to the end of this, and I'll try to incorporate that into it. But if you got any questions or suggestions or something like that, I'd be glad to answer them and take any other suggestions what people have to make this work even better. So that's how I use my wood stove. Look forward to seeing some other people do the same thing and see what kind of ideas and ways y'all come up with to actually make this even better than what I have. So thank you for watching. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.